She shows up in basic workout gear, quiet, unassuming. Instructor Marcus Stone scoffs. HR sent a desk jockey? The trainees laugh. But stick around. They thought Aria Kellen was soft. What they didn't know? That tattoo on her back, V13, isn't decoration. It's a killmark. The insignia of a black ops unit so classified, most think it's a myth. He mocked her in front of everyone. Now command is watching the footage, so is the world, and when Silent Dagger moves, careers don't just end, they collapse. Let us know where you're watching from and what time you found this. We read every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Training instructor. Marcus Stone's fingers trace the polished surface of his instructor's badge, savoring the weight of authority as he surveys the elite training grounds. The morning sun glints off the obstacle course, a brutal gauntlet that's broken the spirit of countless wannabe operators. His smirk deepens at the sight of the slight woman in basic workout gear, methodically stretching among his hand-picked trainees. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Stone's voice booms across the yard, drawing immediate attention. Looks like HR wants to join the big leagues today. The resulting laughter from his trainees sounds like a symphony of superiority. He catches the woman's eye, expecting embarrassment, but something in her measured gaze sends an unsettling chill down his spine. Marcus Stone stalks closer, towering over her petite frame. This isn't some corporate retreat, sweetheart. My course has crushed Delta Force candidates. He reaches for her shoulder, intending to escort her off his training ground, when the sleeve of her workout shirt shifts. The movement reveals a glimpse of black ink that stops his hand mid-air, a familiar pattern that shouldn't be there, couldn't be there. V13, the marking of Shadow Echo's most lethal unit. The woman's eyes lock onto his, and Marcus Stone's throat goes dry as 2 decades of classified briefings flood his mind. Silent Dagger. The lone survivor. The operative whose kill count during Shadow Echo became classified above his pay grade. His trainees' laughter dies as they sense the shift in their instructor's demeanor. Marcus Stone's fingers unconsciously tighten around his badge as he steps back, his earlier bravado evaporating like morning dew. I didn't realize we had a special observer today. A small crowd of administrative staff has gathered at the edge of the training ground, phones raised. Within minutes, Hatch Spec Ops snub starts trending, capturing the moment his arrogance met its match. Marcus Stone watches helplessly as his carefully cultivated image begins to crack. Shall we begin the course, Instructor Stone? Her voice carries the quiet confidence of someone who's faced worse challenges than his petty humiliation attempts. The same voice that he now realizes has been heard in whispered legends throughout the special operations community. The weight of his instructor's badge, once a source of pride, now feels like lead against his chest. As she takes her position at the starting line, Marcus Stone can't shake the feeling that his comfortable world of unchallenged authority is about to shatter. Type humbled if you've ever misjudged someone's true strength. In his office later, Marcus Stone stares at his reflection in the badge's surface, remembering his father's words about respect and assumption. 20 years of breaking recruits, he whispers to himself. And I never thought I'd be the one broken. His hand trembles slightly as he places the badge on his desk, its gleam somehow diminished in the afternoon light. The question echoes in his mind, unavoidable now. How will he survive the scrutiny of someone who's already survived the unsurvivable? Training instructor Marcus Stone stared at his reflection in his office window. the silver whistle hanging heavy around his neck. 20 years of breaking recruits, of knowing exactly who would make it and who wouldn't. All that certainty crumbled in an instant. The classified file lay open on his desk, its pages haunting him with details of the Shadow Echo operation that he'd deliberately avoided for years. His hands traced over the V-13 unit documentation, remembering how he'd sneered at Aria Kellen just hours ago. Paper pusher, he'd called her. The memory made his stomach turn. The whistle, his symbol of absolute authority, felt like a mockery now. He grabbed it, studying its gleaming surface, seeing his own confused expression reflected back. "Sir?" His assistant Jenkins stood at the door. "The morning's assessment scores are ready for review." Marcus Stone waved him away, unable to focus on mundane paperwork. His mind raced back to similar dismissals he'd made over the years. How many others had he wrongly judged? The thought sent a chill through him. Scientific studies on cognitive bias in military training flashed through his mind, research he'd previously dismissed as academic nonsense. The infamous V-13 tattoo burned in his memory. Only 15 operators had ever earned that mark, and only 3 had survived their final mission. Silent Dagger. The operative who'd held off an entire hostile force alone, while her team evacuated. The same woman he'd publicly humiliated this morning. His mentor's words echoed from decades ago. "Power isn't about breaking spirits, Marcus. It's about recognizing strength." He'd ignored that wisdom, building his reputation on tearing people down instead. The whistle felt heavier with each passing moment. "Have you ever watched your whole world view shatter in an instant?" he whispered to his empty office, fingers trembling against the cold metal of his whistle. "Have you felt the ground disappear beneath your feet?" Reports began flooding his inbox. Previous complaints about his training methods, evaluations he'd buried, careers he might have wrongly ended. Each notification sound felt like an accusation. His cherished tough love approach looked increasingly like systematic abuse of power. Outside his window, Aria Kellen moved through the obstacle course with fluid grace, each movement precise. Other instructors had gathered to watch, their expressions a mix of awe and recognition. The whispers had already started. His infamous morning tirade was spreading through the ranks, but now with a very different context. Looking at his class records, Marcus Stone saw the pattern he'd been blind to, a consistent bias against anyone who didn't fit his narrow image of a warrior. Scientists called it confirmation bias, seeing only what confirmed existing beliefs. He'd been proving himself right by breaking people who deserved a chance. The weight of it all pressed down on him. His hand closed around the whistle, no longer a symbol of pride, but a reminder of power misused. The morning's video of his mockery had already reached command. He could see the growing number of views on the internal network. His phone buzzed. A message from the review board. They wanted to discuss his training methodologies. In detail. Immediately. "Type, truth hurts if you've ever had your prejudices shattered," he muttered, echoing the social media trends he'd always mocked, but now he understood their power, how quickly justice could come for those who abused their authority. The whistle caught the afternoon light, throwing shadows across his desk. Marcus Stone's empire of fear was beginning to crumble, and he could no longer pretend not to see the cracks in its foundation. Marcus Stone's heart pounds against his ribs as he watches Aria Kellen navigate the course with practiced precision, his earlier mockery turning to ash in his mouth. The slight hitch in her movement, that telltale favor to her left shoulder, strikes him like a physical blow. He knows that injury intimately. Every senior instructor does. It's discussed in hushed tones during late-night debriefings, a reminder of the price paid during Shadow Echo. The metallic ring of her boots against the climbing bars sends chills down Marcus Stone's spine. His trainees' whispers grow louder, a rising tide of recognition as they spot the V13 unit tattoo with its 7 stars. Marcus Stone's fingers unconsciously trace the instructor's badge on his chest, the metal suddenly cold against his skin. Each star represents a fallen operative, names he's read in classified reports, faces he's seen in memorial photographs. "Sir," one of his assistant instructors approaches, voice tight with concern. "That Silent Dagger, the only survivor of—" "I know who she is," Marcus Stone snaps, his authority crumbling like sand through his fingers. His mind races back to every dismissive comment, every arrogant correction he's thrown her way. Each memory cuts deeper than the last, knowing now that she'd faced challenges that would have broken lesser operators. The woman he'd labeled desk-bound had survived a night that had become legend. A security camera whirs overhead, capturing his mounting discomfort. Marcus Stone imagines the footage spreading through the training facility's secure networks, his humiliation preserved for every future class to witness. The thought makes his collar feel too tight, his pristine instructor's uniform suddenly suffocating. "They say she single-handedly extracted 3 wounded teammates," another trainee whispers, not quite quietly enough. Marcus Stone's chest constricts as he recalls the official report. 7 dead, 3 critically wounded, and 1 operative who refused to leave anyone behind. The same operative he'd sneered at just hours ago. The climbing bars continue their mocking chorus as Aria completes the course, each clang hammering home Marcus Stone's shame. His reputation as the facility's toughest instructor, built over 15 years, feels hollow now. He'd prided himself on identifying potential, on knowing operators better than they knew themselves. Yet he'd failed to recognize the living legend right in front of him. Standing there, watching her move with the fluid grace of someone intimately familiar with death, Marcus Stone realizes his career might never recover from this. The whispers will spread beyond this class, beyond these walls. His judgment will be questioned, his authority undermined. Every future trainee will know how Marcus Stone, the great evaluator of talent, had dismissed Silent Dagger as a mere administrative burden. Have you ever faced a moment when your entire worldview shatters? Marcus Stone's inner voice taunts him. When everything you thought you knew proves wrong in an instant? His hands tremble slightly as he grips his clipboard, the morning's evaluation notes now reading like evidence of his own arrogance. The 7 stars gleam under the facility's harsh lights, each one a silent accusation. Marcus Stone feels the weight of those lost operators' eyes upon him, judging his treatment of their surviving sister-in-arms. His throat tightens as he imagines their faces, forever young in their memorial photos, watching him with disappointment. The course timer beeps, marking Aria's completion. The sound echoes through Marcus Stone's consciousness like a final verdict. Drop 1 in the comments if you've ever misjudged someone so completely. His world has shifted irreversibly, and Marcus Stone knows the consequences are only beginning to unfold. The legendary Silent Dagger has emerged from the shadows of his ignorance, and his carefully constructed reality is crumbling in her wake. Officer Marcus Stone's world shattered around him as he faced his assembled trainees. The familiar weight of his instructor's badge, now a burning reminder of his arrogance. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his collar, the security camera's red lights seeming to mock his every movement. The training room's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across faces that had once looked up to him with respect, now filled with a mix of disappointment and curiosity. "Today," Marcus Stone began, his usually commanding voice wavering, "we learned about true strength." The words felt like ash in his mouth as his gaze inevitably drew to Aria Kellen, standing quietly at the back of the room. Her V13 unit tattoo, that damning mark of the Silent Dagger, seemed to glow against her skin, a constant reminder of his catastrophic misjudgment. The security cameras whirred softly, documenting every excruciating second as Marcus Stone continued, "It's not in our muscles." His hand unconsciously touched his instructor's badge, the metal cold against his fingertips. "It's not in our mouths." The irony of his earlier boasts made his stomach turn. If you've ever misjudged someone completely, type "humbled" in the comments. His mind raced back to just hours before, when he'd strutted around the training floor, declaring Kellen unfit for advanced operations. Now, the weight of her accomplishments, the legendary Shadow Echo operation that had become required study in their tactical courses, pressed down on him like a physical force. The video feed captured his every micro-expression as he forced himself to meet Kellen's eyes. "I was wrong," Marcus Stone declared, the words echoing in the silent room. "I let prejudice and assumptions blind me to true capability, to true strength." His fingers traced the edge of his instructor's badge, remembering how proudly he'd polished it that morning, believing it made him infallible. Within minutes, the footage began spreading through military channels. Marcus Stone watched helplessly as the hashtag #respect earned climbed trending lists, his humiliation captured in high definition for all to see. But it was Kellen's response that broke him. Just a simple nod, her quiet dignity more devastating than any verbal assault could have been. "Share this moment," he heard himself say, the words surprising even him. "Not to shame me, but to remind us all. Strength comes in many forms." The security cameras caught the slight tremor in his hands as he unpinned his instructor's badge. "And sometimes, the strongest among us are the ones we foolishly underestimate." Drop 2, if you believe in quiet strength. As his trainees filed out, Marcus Stone remained rooted in place, the episode replaying in his mind. The video was already being shared across bases nationwide, his moment of revelation becoming a teaching tool for others. His phone buzzed constantly with notifications, each one a reminder of how spectacularly he'd failed to see what was right in front of him. The empty training room felt cavernous now, his earlier bravado replaced by the echo of his own words. "It's not in our muscles or our mouths." Marcus Stone touched his badge one last time, understanding finally that true authority came not from symbols or titles, but from character. Something Aria Kellen had demonstrated in abundance, while he had shown none. The security footage would go viral by nightfall, but Marcus Stone barely noticed. He was too busy rewriting his entire training curriculum, determined that his greatest failure would become his most important lesson. The hashtag #respect earned followed him home like a shadow, a permanent reminder that sometimes the most powerful statements are made in silence. Marcus Stone grips the silver whistle hanging from his neck, its weight feeling foreign now as he stands before the assembled training staff. The morning light filtering through the briefing room windows catches the polished surface, no longer a badge of unquestioned authority, but a reminder of his profound misjudgment. "I stand before you today," Marcus Stone begins, his voice carrying none of its former swagger, "to address the events involving administrative specialist Aria Kellen." His fingers trace the whistle's outline, remembering how he'd used it to interrupt and belittle her just days ago. The irony tastes bitter in his mouth. News of the Silent Dagger's identity has spread through the facility like wildfire, trending under #SilentTruth. Marcus Stone watches the video clips of his own condescending behavior playing on screens throughout the facility, his face burning with each replay. The whispers in the corridors have transformed into a deafening roar of revelation. The Shadow Echo operation wasn't just a legend, Marcus Stone continues, his voice thick with emotion. And its survivor wasn't some distant hero. She was right here, enduring my arrogance. The admission catches in his throat as he recalls every dismissive gesture, every cutting remark. A security camera feed shows Aria Kellen quietly working at her desk, the V13 unit tattoo visible as she reaches for a file. Marcus Stone's hand trembles as he points to the footage. That mark isn't just ink. It's a testament to sacrifices we can't imagine, strength we failed to recognize. The whistle feels cold against his chest as he unclips it, holding it out before the stunned audience. This symbol of authority means nothing compared to the quiet dignity of those who serve without recognition. Specialist Kellen never needed our validation. She knew her worth. Type humbled if you've ever misjudged someone's strength. Marcus Stone places the whistle in a display case, alongside other historical artifacts from the facility's history. Let this stand as a reminder, he says, stepping back. True power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. The facility's training protocols are being rewritten, with Marcus Stone's original assessments struck from the record. His final report, now public, reads, "In my 20 years of service, no one has taught me more about leadership than the woman I foolishly attempted to teach." Share this story if you believe in looking beyond appearances. As Marcus Stone walks the quiet halls of the facility, he passes Aria Kellen's desk. She acknowledges him with a slight nod, the same nod he once interpreted as submission, but now recognizes as contained power. The whistle in the display case catches the light, transformed from a symbol of authority to a testament of transformation. The greatest warriors, Marcus Stone reflects in his final address, are often the ones we overlook, and in my arrogance I almost missed the most important lesson of my career. True strength needs no announcement. It simply endures. Drop 3. If this story changed how you judge others. The security footage of that first training session plays one last time on the facility's screens, but Marcus Stone sees it differently now. In Aria Kellen's quiet competence, in her contained power, he recognizes what he failed to see before, that sometimes the most formidable strength comes wrapped in silence.